Welcome back to DJ Carl Play Legacy. Today we have Josh on Blue-White Control and David on Bant Stoneforge. For Josh's opening hand, we have a Back to Basics, Snapcaster Mage, Teferi Time Raveler, Dress Down, Flooded Strand, Volcanic Island, and a Plains. And for David, we have an Umezawa's Jite, Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, Prismatic Ending, Tundra, Caracas, Misty Rainforest, and a Plains as well. Turn 1 with David on the play, we have a Misty Rainforest and a pass. Josh will play a Flood Strand and pass as well. Turn 2 from David, we have a Plains and pass. Josh is going to play a Volcanic Island and cast a Ponder. Looks like he'll put the 3 back and draw. Pass the turn to David. David's going to play a Tundra. He's going to crack that Misty Rainforest. Got a Tropical Island. Looks like we got 3 mana from David to cast that Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. So with that, he will draw a card, gain 3 life, and put a land from his hand onto the battlefield, which then he'll have to sacrifice that Uro as well. With that trigger on the stack, he's going to go ahead and play the Caracas, and with the sack trigger, he will activate the Caracas, returning Uro to his hand. Josh is going to play the Plains. He's going to crack that Flooded Strand. Looks like we got an island here. And he's going to go ahead and go for that Back to Basics. Dave will untap and draw, notably only untapping that Plains. Dave's going to tap the 2 mana and he's going to go ahead and cast that Umezawa's Jite. Yep, Josh checking himself on his own Back to Basics. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and pass the turn. Dave's going to play a Tropical Island. Pay 3 for a Prismatic Ending on the Back to Basics. In response, Josh will Brainstorm. Alrighty, with the Brainstorm resolve, looks like Josh did find a Force of Will, which he's going to cast that, exiling another Brainstorm from his hand. So with that, Josh will untap, play a Mountain. Looks like he's going to go ahead and cast a Ponder. He's going to go ahead and put him back in shuffle, take that fresh draw. Looks like he's going to pass the turn to David. Dave's going to start off with a Brainstorm. He'll play Windswept Heath. He's going to pass it back to Josh. Josh will play Scalding Tarn. He will crack it. Grabs an island. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and cast a Narset, Barter Veils. In response, David will cast a Force of Will, pitching a Brainstorm. And Josh will pass the turn. At upkeep, looks like David's going to go ahead and crack that Windswept Heath. And grab a forest. Looks like David's gonna pay 3 and recast that Uro, Titan in Nature's Wrath. So with that trigger, he'll put a island into play. And it looks like as a land per turn, he'll play that Flood to Strand and pass from there. It looks like Josh is going to cast a Snapcaster Mage. It's going to target a Ponder. Looks like he'll put the 3 back and take a draw. And he'll play a Prismatic Vista for turn. That looks like he's going to pass to David. Alright, David's going to go ahead and cast Stoneforge Mystic. In response, Josh is going to go ahead and crack that Prismatic Vista. Likely going to get an island. He's going to cast a Dress Down in response. Josh will then take the draw off the Dress Down. David's going to go ahead and crack his Flooded Strand. Grab a Plains. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and cast that Teferi Time Raveler. David's going to go ahead and activate that Teferi. Yep, looks like he's going to go ahead and minus it. Targeting that Snapcaster Mage. David's going to pass the turn from there, which at end step, that Dress Down will get sacrificed. Alright, Josh is going to pay 3 for a Prismatic Ending on the Teferi Time Raveler. Josh will go ahead and pass the turn to David. Alright, David's going to go ahead and cast a Prismatic Ending on the Back to Basics. In response, Josh will Brainstorm. Brainstorm resolves, and so does the Prismatic Ending, so that Back to Basics is gone. Looks like David's going to equip the Stoneforge Mystic and attack Josh, which that will trigger the GT, and he'll pass a turn from there. And it looks like Josh is tapping his Plains because it looks like, yep, we got a Terminus off the top. Moving on from there, Josh is going to go ahead and pass the turn. And with his mana unbound, it looks like David's going to go ahead and escape that Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Alrighty, so that will resolve. Again, David will gain 3, draw a card, and he can put a land from his hand into play. From there, looks like he's going to go ahead and equip the Uro and pass the turn. At end step, Josh will go ahead and flash in a Snapcaster Mage targeting Brainstorm. Alright, looks like at his draw step, Josh is going to go ahead and reveal another Terminus, of which this time, David's got a Force of Negation. Alright, Josh is going to go ahead and pass the turn from there. David's going to activate the GT, killing the Snapcaster Mage. And then he will attack for the Uro. So David will then trigger off the Uro. He'll gain 3, draw a card, and put a land from his hand into play. Looks like second main phase, we got a Sylvan Library. In response, Josh will go ahead and cast a Force of Will. Looks like he's going to go ahead and pay the full price on it. And that will resolve, countering the Sylvan Library. David's going to go ahead and follow up with a Ponder, which he looked at the 3, decided he's going to take the shuffle for a fresh draw. And David's going to pass the turn from there. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and pass. He'll move the combat. Looks like Josh is going to Swords the Plowshares the Uro. response, David's going to go ahead and activate the Caracas, returning the Uro to his hand. David's going to go ahead and recast that Uro. And pass the turn. Josh will play a Mystic Sanctuary, which will trigger, and he can return an instant or sorcery from his graveyard to the top of his library. Looks like he's going to go ahead and target the Ponder. After that, he's going to go ahead and cast a Teferi Time Raveler. Looks like in response, David's going to flash in a Snapcaster Mage. He's going to target the Force of Negation, and he'll cast it, countering the Teferi. Josh will pass. David's going to go ahead and equip the Snapcaster. Looks like he's going to go ahead and attack. Looks like David's going to go ahead and crack that Misty Rainforest. And recast that Uro for its escape cost. And it looks like David's going to go ahead and cast a Stoneforge Mystic. No searching. Passes the turn. Josh is going to go ahead and cast Ponder. Looks like he's going to put the 3 back, shuffle up, and take that fresh draw. He'll then play Flooded Strand and crack it. Grabbing a Plains. Looks like we got a prismatic ending for 3, targeting the Uro. In response, David will return it to his hand with the Karaka. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and pass the turn, which at end step, David will crack his Flooded Strand. Alright, David's going to go ahead and activate the Stoneforge Mystic, putting Cauldron Complete into play, and Josh is going to go ahead and scoop it up. For sideboarding, it looks like Josh is going to take out a Force of Will, Force of Negation, and 2 Back to Basics, bringing in 2 Pyroblasts, a Red Elemental Blast, and a Surgical Extraction. And for David, looks like he's taking out 3 Force of Will, 2 Swords to Plowshares, 1 Back to Basics, and Umezawa's Jite, bringing in 2 Carpet of Flowers, 2 Flusterstorm, 1 Hole Breacher, 1 Narset Parter Veils, and a Force of Vigor. Josh's opening hand is 2 Monastery Mentor, a Snapcaster Mage, Dress Down, 2 Flooded Strand, and an Island. And for David, we have a Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending, Stoneforge Mystic, Carpet of Flowers, Tundra, Prismatic Vista, and a Flooded Strand. Alright, on the play, Josh is going to play an Island and pass the turn. David's going to go ahead and play Carpet of Flowers and pass. Josh will play Flooded Strand and pass. David's going to go ahead and cast a Stoneforge Mystic. In response, Josh will cast a Dress Down. Looks like Josh is going to play a Flood Strand and crack it. Getting a Plains. Looks like he's going to send out that Monastery Mentor. Pesk from there, it looks like at the end step, David's going to go ahead and Swords the Mentor. Looks like David, off the mana from the Carpet of Flowers, is going to go ahead and play the Stoneforge Mystic. With that, he'll get a Cauldron Complete, activate the first Stoneforge Mystic and put it into play. And attack. Josh will untap draw. Play a Volcanic Island. Cast another Monastery Mentor. With that resolved, he will cast a Ponder, which will trigger the Mentor. He'll put the 3 back on top and draw. Pass the turn from there. Looks like David's going to go ahead and cast a Prismatic Ending for 3 on the Mentor. He'll play a Tundra, move to combat, swing with the team. Josh is going to just block the Cauldra. Dave's going to pass a turn, and it looks like at Josh's draw step, he will Miracle cast a Terminus. Looks like he's going to follow it up with a Teferi Time Raveler. He'll bounce the Carpet of Flowers and draw a card, and pass the turn. Dave's going to cast the Carpet of Flowers. And it looks like moving to second main phase, David's going to go ahead and cast a Prismatic Ending, targeting the Teferi. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and cast a Force of Will, pitching a Snapcaster Mage on that. David's going to go ahead and cast a Life from the Loam, getting back the Prismatic Vista and passing turn. Josh will play a Mountain. He's going to Prismatic Ending the Carpet of Flowers, and plus the Teferi. Untap, David's going to Prismatic Ending the Teferi, and cast a Ponder. Looks like he's going to shuffle it up. And take that fresh draw. Pass the turn. Looks like Josh is going to go ahead and deploy a Narset Parter of Veils. With that resolved, he will -2 Looking at the top 4 of his library, he will reveal a non-creature, non-land, and put it in his hand. And with that, he'll reveal a Shark Typhoon. Looks like he's going to pass the turn to David. David will pass it back to Josh. Josh will play a land and activate Narset Parter Veils, revealing a Pyroblast. Which he'll pass it back to David. David will play Flooded Strand and pass. At end step, Josh is going to go ahead and activate the Prismatic Vista. And he'll get an island. It looks like he's going to cycle the Shark Typhoon for X equals 5. So he'll draw a card off the cycle and make a 5/5 Flying Shark token. Looks like he's going to go to combat, swinging 5 in the air. And he'll pass. From there, David will untap. Looks like he's going to cast that Ponder. Looks like he's going to put the 3 back and draw. Going to follow it up with a Teferi Time Raveler, of which in response, Josh has that Pyroblast. Dave's going to play a Flood Strand and pass. End step, Josh will cast a Brainstorm. Looks like both players are realizing that the Narset canceled out the draw from the Ponder. Moving forward, Josh is going to attack for 5. David's going to go ahead and cast a Swords to Plowshares on the token. Josh is going to go ahead and cast a Jace the Mind Sculptor. And he will 0 to Brainstorm. Josh is going to go ahead and pass the turn. And it looks like David's going to draw a Misty Rainforest and concede the game. So let's move to game 3. It looks like moving on to sideboards here, both players are going to keep it the same. Looks like Josh's opening hand is a Monastery Mentor, Prismatic Ending, Snapcaster Mage, Teferi Time Raveler, a Flooded Strand, and 2 islands. And for David, we have a Force of Vigor, Prismatic Ending, Sylvan Library, Brazen Borrower, Batterskull, Caracas, and Misty Rainforest. Alrighty. David on the plate is going to start off with the Misty Rainforest and pass. Josh will untap and play his own Flooded Strand and pass the turn from there. Alright, David's going to go ahead and crack his Misty Rainforest and deploy a Carpet of Flowers. With that fetch, he gets a Tropical Island, and then he'll play a Caracas. Turn 2 for Josh is going to start off with an Island and a Brainstorm. That resolve, Josh is going to crack his Flooded Strand. Grab a Plains. And it looks like we have a prismatic ending for that Carpet of Flowers. David will untap draw. Play a Sylvan Library. Untap for Josh. He'll play another Island and play Narset Parter Vales. With that resolve, Josh will -2 the Narset. Of which he will reveal a Pyroblast. Passing the turn, David will untap draw. Crack the Flooded Strand. He'll get another Tropical Island. And it looks like we have another prismatic ending for 3 on the Narset. Passing from there, Josh will untap draw. Play a Flooded Strand. We'll then cast a Ponder. Putting the 3 back and drawing. He will then cast a prismatic ending for 2 on the library. With that resolved, he will pass the turn. Looks like David's going to go ahead and pass. Looks like at upkeep, Josh is going to crack his Flooded Strand. grab a plains. Take his draw. He'll play a Scalding Tarn. He'll start off with a Teferi Time Raffler. Looks like in response, David's going to go ahead and flash in his Brazen Borrower. Looks like that resolved. With that, Josh is going to go ahead and plus his Teferi, so he can now cast sorceries at instant speed and pass the turn. So from there, David will untap draw, go to combat, attack the Teferi for 3. Second main phase, David's going to cast a Ponder. Looks like he's going to put the 3 back and draw. And cast a Stoneforge Mystic. Stoneforge Mystic resolves. David will not search and pass the turn, of which at end step, Josh is going to go ahead and crack the Scalding Tarn, get a Volcanic Island, and Pyroblast the Brazen Borrower. Josh will untap draw. He'll play a Prismatic Vista. Will then cast a Snapcaster Mage, which he will target the Prismatic Ending and Prismatic Ending the Stoneforge Mystic. Follow up with the plus on the Teferi and pass. Dave will untap draw and cast a Prismatic Ending of his own. Looks like in response, Josh is going to cast a Ponder. Put the 3 back in draw. Prismatic Ending resolves. Josh is going to crack the Prismatic Vista. Get an island. And untap draw. Go to combat, swing 2 at David. Second main, he'll follow up with a Monastery Mentor. Passing the turn, David will untap draw. Start off with a Ponder. He'll put the 3 back and draw a card. Looks like he's going to pass the turn, which at end step, Josh is going to cast a Brainstorm, which will trigger the Monastery Mentor. And he will untap draw. Looks like in first main phase, Josh is going to pay 2 life to cast the Surgical Extraction, targeting the Ponder in David's graveyard, which will trigger the Monk token and the Monastery Mentor. With that resolving, David will show his hand to Josh. Josh will search out those Ponders and exile them. Moving from there, Josh is going to cast the Jace the Mind Sculptor, which will trigger his creatures. David can force a negation, of which that will then force Josh to cast his Pyroblast, triggering his creatures again. That will have David staring down a wall of creatures, of which David will just go ahead and concede the game from there. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.